Hi, everyone. This is Margaret Manning with 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. My guest tonight is Nancy Perraud. Nancy is a travel expert. She writes articles for Aboutcom for seniors and boomers. So welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
It's really great to have you here. And you know, women in our community, we've got 50,000 women now in our 60 and Me community all over the world, and many of them are retiring or slowing down in their work commitments. And they, rather than just go and have a beach holiday, they're looking for something a bit more adventurous. Mm-hmm. So, you've written a great article here for us about some destinations that adventurous women over 60 might consider. So, let's get started. What are your favorites?
Oh, there are so many places to choose from. I really had a hard time narrowing it down to six for this article because when you start looking at places where you can have a great adventure, you just never run out, and that can be somewhere close to home or far, far away. But
Right.
one of my favorite trips that I took a few years ago was to Newfoundland, Canada. And Newfoundland, when you look on a map, it looks like this small island off the coast of eastern Canada. It's
Yeah.
much bigger in real life than it looks. You can consider the effects of different map projections for the reason it looks
Right.
smaller on your paper map. But one of the neat things about Newfoundland is it has a lot of history and a lot of interesting geology and plant life and animal life. You can go whale watching. There's a really fun thing you can do. You can walk on part of the Earth's mantle. You know that most of us are walking on the crust of the Earth, and the mantle is the next layer down. But
Oh,
in a
wow.
national park in Newfoundland called Grosmorne, you can go to the tablelands and walk on
Wow.
the Earth's mantle instead. It's a really rare geologic formation, and they also have really
It's cool.
interesting little plants. They have pitcher plants. I'd never seen pitcher plants before, and just a whole host of natural, wonderful places to go to. Very impressive large national parks all over Newfoundland. You can
Oh,
also see where the Vikings settled in North America. About the year 900, a group of Vikings came from Greenland and came to Canada, to Newfoundland, and established a settlement there
oh,
at a place called Lanzo Meadows. And you can
didn't
see
know that.
where the archaeological dig was, and the archaeologists covered it up again to preserve it because the weather is very harsh there in the wintertime. Probably that's one of the reasons the Vikings left. Also, they had trouble with
Wise.
the locals,
Minor
but they
point.
built, yeah, they built a reproduction of the whole Viking
That's
settlement,
great.
and they have reenactors in there. You can go talk to them and see how they are um, boiling seal fat to make oil and all kinds of other
That's
interesting
cool.
Viking things. It's just a fascinating place to be because that's really where the history of settlement from Europe in North America began. It
Yeah.
wasn't Christopher Columbus, it was the Vikings.
Wow.
And also, St. John's, the capital of Newfoundland, has a fabulous music scene. If you love Celtic music, pop music, fun music, instrumental music, jazz. There's a street there, George Street, that is just lined with restaurants and bars and so on. And you can just hear any kind of music you want to. And it's very vibrant and very fun to visit. So if you
I
like
can,
the city life, there's something there for you too.
I can see why you're in the travel business, Nancy. You're so excited about these places, and I never in a million years would have thought of Newfoundland. So
Yeah, yeah.
it sounds
It's great. It's
great.
really amazing.
All right, take me somewhere warmer.
Warmer. How about the Galapagos Islands, which are
That would be
warmer
cool.
than
Yeah.
Newfoundland? This is a really popular destination for people who want to see exotic species. They're famous for their tortoises. There are quite a
Yes.
few islands in this island chain. They belong to the country of Ecuador. You can go there independently if you want to, but if you want to see a lot of islands and you don't have too much time, I would say go with a small ship cruise or an organized
Right.
tour operator so that you can maximize your exposure to all the different, so many birds that you can't find anywhere else, all kinds
Incredible.
of wildlife. This is where Charles Darwin went to study how species evolve, and people are still studying that there. So you can talk to people who are involved in the scientific community, depending on what kind of travel opportunity you pick for yourself. A lot of companies work with local scientists so that you can really learn
Yeah.
something. And they have beautiful beaches there, and you can go on nature walks, and it's a nicer destination maybe for people who like warmer weather and the beach life.
It sounds wonderful, and actually, Ecuador is supposed to be a very interesting place as well. So while you're there, you could pop over to Ecuador because I think
You could.
Quito is, and a lot of expats are moving there too. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
quite popular to. But that sounds wonderful. That actually is on my list. I do want to. I think everyone says that though because the Galapagos Islands have such a mystique about them.
They
So
do. They do.
I think that's a good choice. Okay, give us another one.
South Africa is becoming really, really
Yes.
popular as a travel destination.
Yeah.
And this is not the typical travel destination. A lot of people go there for the natural beauty of South Africa, but it also you have an opportunity to delve into the history of South Africa, which, as we know, was very troubled for a
So
long time.
fascinating. Yeah.
There are some really great organized walking tours you can take in Johannesburg and really walk where all of these different demonstrations happened and learn about Nelson Mandela and the
Right.
anti-apartheid movement. Try street food there, and then there is a beach scene in South Africa. It's also a great place if you are interested in sharks and you want to see sharks. You can go out on a tour and hopefully see some sharks up close, but not too close. Another thing you can do in South Africa is go to some of their national parks and go on safari. And they even have women only safaris if that's a choice that you would like to make. So you can go and observe the wildlife and do some great photography with like minded women who want a great South African adventure.
That sounds very cool. And we mentioned at the beginning that you write for About.com. Have you written articles about some of these places, in more detail than we're talking about here? Because, I
Yeah,
mean, it sounds just fascinating.
Yeah,
Like
I've
you've got,
written a lot about Newfoundland because I spent a couple of weeks there. So we drove all over the island and we talked to a
yeah.
lot of people. Yes and no. Some of the destinations I have and others I have not. But one of the nice things about.com is we have over 1,000 writers on every topic you can possibly imagine. So there is a person who has written extensively, for example, about travel in Africa, and she's got some great pieces about South Africa in particular
Okay.
and about some of the heritage travel that you can do there and safari opportunities and how to pick a safari. So about.com is just a great resource for people who love to travel
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
general.
No, it sounds wonderful. I actually do use it myself, but for other things because it has
Okay.
lots. I mean, it's just a
Yes, how to
wealth
get
of.
stains out of white clothes.
That's
That's
right.
there too. I use that one.
Yeah. So we've got South Africa. Oh, how about Alaska?
Alaska's fabulous. I
Yeah, I've
went on
never
a cruise
been.
a few years ago. If you like cruises and you like amazing landscapes, that's a great way to see
Yeah.
Alaska. But you can also see Alaska on your own or on a land tour. Go to Denali National Park. If you do a land tour, don't miss that. But even if you just have a week, a cruise is a great option, and it is beautiful beyond any words I can describe.
Wow.
It's impossible to tell you how beautiful Alaska is. The ocean is so deep blue. The skies are amazing. There's mountains everywhere. You can see all kinds of wildlife. You just have to almost walk down to the water and you can start seeing seals and all kinds of
Wow.
amazing things going on. And if you go on a whale watching tour, you're going to see whales. We saw baby orcas on our whale watching tour, and you feel like you
Fantastic.
just fell into paradise, and it's just so pretty. A completely outstanding destination. Highly
Wait,
recommend it.
another place, and I lived in Seattle and Washington for so many years, and didn't ever take that cruise because it goes from out of Seattle and
Sure.
Vancouver all
Yeah,
the time. But I think what's really great about what you're describing here is that we say they're adventurous tours because they're not your traditional Rome
exactly.
or Florence, but they're actually quite manageable. Like
Yes.
you could do them with mobility issues or with
Yes.
probably on a budget. You could really do your own thing and find a way to do it. Not have to bungee jump in,
No,
Melbourne. You can do
no.
whatever.
Yeah, you can do that kind of
Yeah,
thing if you want to, but
yeah,
the adventure is really multifaceted because part of the adventure is going someplace that's really unique and seeing
totally.
something that
Yeah.
you never imagined yourself seeing and standing there going, I made it here, I'm here.
Yes.
Look at all of these beautiful birds or these
Yeah.
amazing mountains or the whales, and you don't have to take the float plane flight to sightsee from above. I don't think I could do that personally because I would be
Yeah.
terrified and I would
Yeah.
not be seeing anything except the floor of the airplane.
Your
Um,
hands over your
yes,
eyes.
help, but you can see so much in so many different ways in all of these destinations. You can, rent a car and drive around. You can take a day tour with an organized tour company. You can do a shore excursion with your cruise line, and they offer every kind of adventure level that you might want to have. But part of the adventure is what's there because it's a
Yeah.
unique destination that offers something that no one else has.
You know, I love that you said that actually, because I think adventure is in your state of mind as well. It's how you approach a new place. And, you know, we'll have people, ladies watching this video who don't have the extra money to travel anywhere. But I always advise people just jump on a bus, you know, go to somewhere in your, like in your own neighborhood or your own community that you've never been, and keep your eyes open. And you can always find adventure, you know, by just changing your mindset.
Yes, exactly. A lot of people feel like they need to play monument tag when they
Yeah,
travel,
exactly.
and stop and, oh, look, here's the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and here's St. Peter's, and here's this, and here's
Exactly.
that, and I was here, and so you check off your list of things that you wanted to see. When really what travel involves too is delving into the natural wonders of wherever you are, experiencing the local community, talking with people, eating food from that place. So yeah, there's adventure right around the corner. You just have to be willing to open your eyes and take a good look, as you said.
Well, you've given us some great ideas. There's more in your article, and I encourage people to read it through and be inspired. I love how you describe your experiences, because that's to me what makes travel so wonderful, that you don't just, like you said, see the monuments, but you see the subtlety, the history, what happened in that place, and the
Exactly.
magic. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Nancy. It's always great to talk with you, and thank you very much again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.